let's take you through all the basics of getting the machine set up and threaded so you're ready to sew. So first off, you're going to need to take the cord that came out of your accessory box. You should have two cords. One's your power cord, which by the way you want to plug into a surge protector, or better yet, a battery backup, because when you get to embroidery, you need to have a nice smooth power, no ups, no downs. You're going to notice it when you're embroidering during the summertime when your air conditioner kicks in. You do not plug this into a wall. You are going to eventually have problems. Save yourself the headaches. Okay, so one of those cords plugs into your foot control, and then put the other cord just kind of in this little groove right here. Okay, and we are set to go. So when the machine comes to us, you are going to find there's going to be some thread on here. We're going to switch thread. We're going to wind a bobbin fresh. So here we go. We're going to snip this thread and pull it out the needle. Instead of just pulling this thread out the top side, which once you've started using it, you notice how much dust and lint gather up at your needle. By pulling that thread backwards, you pull some of that up in here, and that's usually not a good thing. Let's keep our machine clean. So snip and pull out the needle. Again, if you do it at least 50% of the time, your machine will thank you. There's also a bobbin that is wound, so there's a white threaded bobbin down here. But we're going to go ahead and take a bobbin and pull it out. So there's actually two ways to wind a bobbin. And okay, back just a second. We've got some spool caps we need to talk about. So this thread is kind of crisscross as it's cross wound onto the spool. So I'm going to lay it down and then put a spool cap on it. Now if you have any spools where the thread is stacked, okay, we're going to put that on a vertical spin, or you can spin that up. But you don't need a spool cap. Don't resist its pull as it's spinning. It just, those stacked threads pull better if they come off the back side of that. So just for today, I'm going to just go ahead and lay that down. Spool cap matches the size of my spool, and we're ready to go. Okay, so winding a bobbin two ways. You can go ahead and come over the top of the silver bar, and then down underneath this little silver tension, and click it in. Hear it? I'm holding my thread, and it clicks in. Then we're going to come over here, and we're going to wind a bobbin. Now, I'm actually not going to wind it this way. Yes, you can. You'll be able to pick up right where I wind it. I'm going to wind it after I thread the machine. So let me show you this second way of doing a bobbin. So you'll be able to, let's thread the machine and then we'll wind the bobbin. All right, so we've come over the silver. Hold this thread. That gives you a little bit of tension as you go to place this in all the next areas. Also to make sure your presser foot is up. So make sure this button with the foot up, make sure it's not down. Otherwise the tension discs are not open. And right here are the tension discs. Make sure you get that nice and firmly seated. There's a little arrow right here showing you to go down, and then there's an arrow right here showing you to come up. Go all the way in to the back, up on the right side, pull over to the left side, and come straight down. It's going to hook into the take-up lever right there. So in on the right, down on the left. There is one guide at the top of the needle, open on the left side, so hook it behind here. And then there is a needle threader on this machine, which we'll do a close-up video on in just a second. So what we'll do is the needle is threaded. I'm going to slide it underneath my presser foot. Now we're going to wind this bobbin. Notice these two little silver arms right here. That is because the thread can come up to the bobbin and not sit across the machine. That's what those are there for. Now let's look at the H for Husqvarna Viking. So the H is always up when we put this on, and when we're done, we'll pull it out, and the H is always up when we drop this in. Now there's a little hole in here, so towards the middle, and I'm going to go ahead and cut myself a fresh little point and take our thread from the inside out. So inside and then up, so I can get a hold of this little thread here. Take my bobbin, place it onto the bobbin winder, and then go ahead and engage it. You're going to push it to the right. Bobbin winder is on. So notice that little message pops up when you have slid it over. Now I'm going to just hold with my hands straight up, wrapped around it with my fingers here, and step on the foot control. I'm going to just slip this right over there. Okay, so we'll go ahead and wind. It'll stop when it's done. If I go ahead and, okay, all right. So it'll just go ahead and fill it all the way up. Super easy here. And when you use good quality thread, that's really going to make a big difference with your machine. So if you've got older thread, let's not be using it these days. Buy some fresh thread. It really will make a difference. A lot of the threads these days are less linty. Okay, so it stopped spinning, so I'm going to slide it back, and then I'm going to go ahead and lift it up. There's a little cutter right here, so I'm going to come over the top and cut the thread, so I don't need my scissors. And look, my machine's already threaded, so I'm almost ready to sew. So when I've dropped this in, and again, we'll do another video of inserting the bobbin. There's a place right down here at 6 o'clock. You're going to slide the thread down there and then off to the side. That clicks it into the tension. Notice I was holding the bobbin, so the bobbin had a little resistance, and it clicks right where it needs to go. There's some little arrows you're going to follow up and over the top, and there's a little cutter right here. But before you just pull the thread and cut it, I like to put the bobbin case door over it. By the way, do you notice that little circle? That's a magnifying glass. Isn't that awesome? They think of everything. All right, slide that over, then cut our thread, and now we're actually ready to sew. So we're on a straight stitch. We're just going to take some fabric, fold it in half. I always sew on 2 layers when I'm testing out my stitch, my settings, and then just go ahead and step on the foot control. The foot is going to lower down and start to sew. Sounds good. Now when I'm done, I can use the selective thread cutter. That's going to cut the thread and lift the foot up, and we'll go into that. You'll see me using that in all the videos. If you have the same stitching on the front as you do on the back, you have done this correctly.